Today we have Frankie with us, founder and owner of All Bull Athletics, ex-football player. He's going to tell us about his story, how he learned how to run a business, financials, and a lot of insights how to run and start a business. Stay tuned.
Good morning, everybody. We're back at Coffee with Founders. Today we have Frankie from All Bull Athletics. Frankie, thank you so much for being here today.
Hi everyone. It's great. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited about this conversation we're about to have.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's hear from Frankie. Frankie, tell us about your story. How did you get into fitness? How did you start with your gym? Tell me a little bit about how it all started.
Yeah. So I personally have been playing football since the age of 7. I'm local to the area. Grew up in South Florida, and I was awarded a football scholarship. I went to Gulliver Prep, a private school in Pinecrest, and I ended up going to University of Southern Cal. Um, for that experience of leaving Miami to LA, a huge jump for me, especially in my career. But I ended up retiring super early. So as soon as I got to campus, they found a heart disease. I was discontinued from playing football, and I ended up coaching. So my first career really was coaching the sport that I love, which is football. Um, Made my way through college, coached for the next 4 years, coached in the NFL for the Seattle Seahawks underneath the coach that recruited me, Coach Carroll in Seattle, and then decided, I don't really want to do this anymore. It became more of a chore than something that I really loved. And I still love football, don't get me wrong. It was just like, the 5 a.m.s to 11 p.m.s at night every single day. And the grind of the NFL wasn't really calling me, So I thought about how I could take that same work ethic. If I started a business and I worked from 5 a.m. all the way to 11 p.m. at night every single day, I could easily build something just as worthy as whatever position that I would have had coaching football. So I moved back to Miami. I started working at a big box gym, Equinox in Merrick Park, which is why I know the area so well. I'm super excited for you guys.
They're very close.
Uh, Very, very close. And then I worked at a therapy clinic directly after that in Coconut Grove. Built up more clientele, built up a better base, started building my brand, and decided to pull the trigger on the location in Coral Gables, like North Coral Gables, though. It's a little bit, it's more downtown Coral Gables.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's like 6 minutes away from your location that you guys are moving into. But that's kind of how it all got started. I took the foundation from, coaching. Coaching something is very much so like teaching. You got to make the complicated simple. And then the experience of taking, my exercise phys degree and putting it into a personal training certification and building off of that with the coaching. And then working in a therapy clinic really helped because I dealt with all types of injuries, frozen shoulder, ACL injuries. I was doing pre and post rehab for a lot of the people that were going into surgeries and coming out of them. So I've seen pretty much everything, whether it's, super high end athlete, like your KJ Wrights or your Bobby Wagners or, who name it. I've seen to your general population that go to the gym religiously, like at an Equinox, and then to your rehab people. So
Yeah.
I took all of that and blended it together, and Old Bull was kind of created with all of that experience. So I found people that kind of mimicked all of those, I guess, that foundation, and they had their own little spin plus more, So as of today, Old Bull is thriving in the area. We're doing really well. I'm super excited to be, in the position. It's a lot of hard work culminated into one. As you guys know, as business owners, you got some high highs, you got some low lows.
Very low lows. And that's where I want to get into, I think your background, and it's, it seems like, and as an athlete, you're always facing setback. You always, there are high highs and there are low lows, as an individual athlete or as a team or as a coach and everything. But now you jump into a business owner. But once you decide to run the business, once you decide to get permits to build your gym, to get, rent a space, find the right space. So it's some different, very different skills, because you have the knowledge of how to actually do it inside the gym, but now you're stepping back and building the gym. How was that experience for you? How was that process of actually, okay, I'm going to own my own gym and this is how I'm going to do it? How did you manage to get it started? How was that process at the beginning, the early stages of it?
Yeah. So at the beginning, I rented space from the therapy clinic that I was telling you about, and I got into my business was growing so fast that the owner of the therapy clinic didn't want me there anymore. So
Okay.
it was like kind of like a hard stop. So I was kind of scrambling to be able to hold the business that I had, as well as move to a different location and acquire more business. So in that panic, I signed a lease that was just not favorable. In my head, I was like, you know what, whatever, like it is what it is. Let's just get it done.
Mhm.
And the build out ended up being more expensive than I wanted to. The the foreseen nature of what would have come next wasn't totally there. I just knew like I'm gonna bet on myself. I'm gonna put my head down and make this happen. It was way more expensive than I wanted it to be. If I ever negotiate a lease again, which I probably won't, I will make sure that I have something that is set that I can operate out of for a very long time, and then start negotiating and look for more opportunities and work with a professional like some type of realtor. So one rule I would say is never be in a rush to sign a lease. That was one of the biggest mistakes that I made. And two is really like making sure that you have everything planned out before you get to the location, and then have something that you can soundboard off of, right? Like don't just have one option. You should have two or three um, when you're looking for your opportunities for leasing, right? Um, and then three is if you can own, do it. The SBA has all of these great programs like the 504B or the 7A plan, where you can, in the 504B, you can put down 10% of whatever the property costs as a business owner if your financials check out, and you can get well into your way of owning the property within the next 25 years completely outright, you know? And as you pay down into the interest and as you pay down into the mortgage, your payments actually go down, as opposed to in a rental where your payments continuously go up. I think it's like 4% every year. So yeah, in the back of my head from the get go, I always wanted to own. Obviously, COVID hit, and again, those high highs, those low lows. Um, who knew that that was going to happen? I lost half of my staff. It was really just me kind of like saying, okay, how do I buckle down? How do I make this work for me? And I'll also be safe to protect my family or whatever the situation was. Um, so I rebuilt my business basically from scratch again. Hired new people, started negotiating certain prices for a certain period of time, and then started to build off of that as we started to come out of the highest peak of COVID, I think, with the shutdowns. So rebuilt it, decided to take a chance, and I was like, hey, if there's going to be opportunities at any point in time, this is it. Let me look for a place to buy. And there ended up being a place 4 minutes away from us. It's like walking distance. That was for sale. The place that was there before ended up going out of business, and it was a gym already. It had been built as a gym in 2008, and the place that we were renting from was like built in 1925. So it's gonna be a
Got you.
huge,
Hold on.
a huge upgrade. So yeah, we ended up pulling the trigger. We recently just moved into this particular location. It's off of Ponce Leon and Majorca Avenue, and it's great because our previous president has been really good at depreciating assets, depreciating land as a business owner, and not really paying taxes the way he should be. Right? As small business owners, that changes the game for us. Like legit, all of the money that you'd be paying from whatever your portion that you made, right, like your net profits, you can start depreciating a lot of those things off. So you keep a lot of that cash flow back in your pocket while building equity, right? So obviously we're both the same age, so if you're 30 right now, and you decide to go into one of these loans at 55, you can either keep it and rent it out to somebody else, or you can sell it, and that just becomes your retirement, and that'll pay for your kids, college or whatever the situation plus more. So so it's just like different things that you can do in that realm, in that aspect. But when I look at real estate and leases, I would much rather own and operate, especially with the SBA allowing small businesses this opportunity. You should take advantage of it as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Was that, Frankie, something you learned from transitioning into the second location? Is that something you decided you were going to prep yourself? You were going to learn about all of this financial side of business? Was that something you did before? Because I imagine you focus on the operation side of things, the athletic part, right? Hiring the best and most talented people, but then the financials come in place as a business owner, which is, I want to say, 50% of the business, right? A very important foundation. Where did you decide to get educated to start training yourself in that area?
Yeah, so I did a program called 10,000 Small Businesses. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. I would highly recommend it. If you need a recommendation, I can let you know who the department head is. It was run through Miami-Dade, and it's a partnership with Goldman Sachs and Babson. And as you know, Babson is like one of the biggest, entrepreneurial business schools in America. So they put together this program of a bunch of business owners like you and I. There was maybe like 25 other people that own businesses that were all looking to scale and grow their business. So like I said, I always had it in the back of my head that I wanted to own, but I didn't necessarily know how I was going to do it. This program was amazing because it went over operations. It went over, different opportunities that you might be able to find, how to find opportunities, how to assess them, how to go over key risks, and then manage risks, because there's always going to be risks when you own a business. How to keep your staff, how to hire staff, and then, marketing and finding your people. So after graduating that program, I didn't know about the 504B or the 7A loans from the SBA, afforded by the SBA, until I took this course. So as I started to piece that together, I was like, okay, well, I see an opportunity here, 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 and here. And one of the opportunities was to be able to own the real estate. Have you ever watched The Founder?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you know, The Founder is a great film.
That's probably the best example, just to put it in perspective. Yes.
Exactly.
100%.
It's the best film to put into perspective how people create generational wealth, one, and two, how you can scale your business at a higher peak while being as efficient as possible. So yeah, like let's say you guys decide to do a franchise, right? And you own 3 locations in South Florida. You own the real estate and you own the business. Now, if you were to just sell the business by itself, I don't know what the totals are for restaurants or coffee shops, but for the fitness industry, whatever we make, like let's say we make $100,000, I can only sell it for, like most companies are selling, for 50% of whatever the gross income is, which sucks. Or a multiple of like 3.5 of whatever your net is.
Right.
Again, not that great.
With that,
Yeah.
Kind of crappy. So you add the real estate component to it, and now your business is way more attractive because, equity wise, right? Like for example, when we bought in peak COVID, we got the place reassessed and we already gained 20% in equity on top of whatever we bought it at. I don't know, in 6 to 7 months, I don't know how you can create that type of wealth any other way.
Yeah, there's no way, for sure.
So The Founder, if you haven't had a chance to watch, I know you both have, but whoever's watching this, if you haven't had a chance to watch it, definitely watch it if you're an entrepreneur.
For sure.
Amazing.
And I think that, I mean, it's very interesting, and I love what you're talking about, because most entrepreneurs, and some of us just think, okay, we're just gonna go, I have the business idea, but for the business to work, the financials have to make sense. and how do I generate revenue to keep putting in the business and injecting it in the business. And one, I need to keep my employees, I need to pay them, I need to bring everything, and it's all about revenue. If we don't have it, it's not going to work. And the most impressive thing to me right now is that, you know, you got educated on it, because a lot of times we think, and you know, I'm a chef and I'm gonna do a restaurant, I'm gonna start a restaurant, but how do you make that work? Yeah, you make great food, but you need other pieces to make sense to be able to run that business. And that's why, you know, what you're saying, there's a lot of things that we can do and a lot of places where we can learn. And I think what you're saying is so valuable, because we're going, you know, there's this 10,000 small businesses course that most people don't know about. Most people don't know about the loans, that SBA loans that you're actually able to get. And we're all afraid because, okay, how much is this going to cost me? How much, if I want to start a business, how do I do it?
Right, and at the very same time, you're focused on the operation. You're gonna make sure that works because you know the foundations, but you got every single other area developed. And I think there's something, Frankie, that you kind of touched on a little bit, but I want to get a little bit more in depth into it. You
Mhm.
said retention. You said when in the middle of the pandemic, you were losing, of course, based on the nature of what happened last year, you were losing people, you were losing clients, you were also losing your own staff. And of course, we had no idea what was happening. And then you said, I restructure my business. I focus on a lot of different things, right? Which, even though it's under the same brand, you're doing the same thing, basically, operations are kind of similar. There are a lot of things that you change. Let's talk about how do you focus on employee retention, and then I'm going to ask you about customer retention. I think the fitness industry, super fast paced, highly competitive. um, what do you do internally at Opal to retain your staff? How do you keep them motivated? How do you make sure they consider themselves different from other trainers, other therapists in the area, and they want to stay with you every day?
Yeah. I think the easiest way to keep retention is to have a very clear and positive mission statement, um, in the sense of your why you do what you do. You know, we're in a facility that also does physical therapy. We do personal training and physical therapy. And if you go to any other physical therapy clinic, you'll see one therapist and like six different interns working with all these people. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm working with 10 people at one time, I don't think I can do a very good job at what I'm doing. So um, we make sure everything is one on one, whether you're working with a licensed therapist or a personal trainer or an exercise physiologist, and we try to give the best care. So, you know, we're delivering that care because we have that attention the entire way through. People are getting better faster. They're getting results faster. They're hitting their goals faster. They're getting out of the pain faster. They're returning to sport faster. If you want an efficient way to get things done, you choose Old Bull. So that, as well as, you know, when it comes to retaining clients, and in the sense of retaining our staff, they all believe that. So a lot of places that are open are more of that farm, that factory, where you end up, especially if you're a physical therapist, you end up getting burned out way faster. Um,
And you forget why you're doing it.
right, exactly. You kind of lose the I'm trying to get this person better, because I'm just trying to survive, as opposed to give quality.
Yeah.
You know, like for to paint a picture, right? Like imagine seeing 1,000 patients in a week, um, and you've had shoulder, knee, da 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 da, like all of these things all happen to you in the week, and then now you also have to type in notes to submit to insurances. Like you're working 60+ hour weeks, the quality of life isn't there. You know, at Old Bull, you don't get afforded. Like that doesn't happen. You create your own schedule. You have autonomy. I say if you want to go on vacation, you can. Um, you want to come back, and you can work the hours that you want to work. Um, as a business owner, I'm perfectly fine with that because I know happy employees equals, you know, more retention, i.e., all of the other things that go with it. And then when it comes to keeping the customers, it's really just about making sure, one, your employees are happy, right? We got that out of the way. And then two, creating a community. So The best way I see fit is really like getting other people involved or meeting other people within our community, like our family community, that I think would be able to gel with each other. Um, I did this the other day. I have a friend that is in clients that are real estate agents, and we had two Olympic sailors that sailed for the class of 470 in this past Olympics that just ended. One was trying to buy a house, so I said, okay, well, I know a realtor. You're looking for a house, let's put you two together, and they both found value in that particular situation, so I think just in general, like it's really just about connecting people, creating a community, and then really having a strong why you do what you do. Why is your brand what it is, and what does your brand represent?
That is great, and I think it comes back to
Yeah.
your football days. I think that's how you build a team. When you play sports, is having everyone coming together. And now, before it was players and coaches, staff. Now it's employees, clients, and everyone coming together as a team, which is what builds everything. Because at the end of the day, we're working with people, we're working for people, and if we have that connection and help each other out, it's just what creates, this great environment that is going to want people to come back and be part of this community.
For sure. And
Right,
Frankie,
for sure.
now that you touch on college, you promote something on your website. I want to talk about that. This morning, Orlando and I were talking about how are so many companies here in the area. Well, not only local companies, but nationwide that have some sort of a nonprofit related, or that they have a mission in their foundation that really makes them feel better. That is very attached to a goal or something that the owner wants to do. You talk about 18 kids sent to college. Tell me a little bit about that.
So what I mean by that is we want to take kids at a younger age and really try to develop them into something that they wouldn't have, even conceived to be plausible before, right? So I mentioned a kid that ended up wanting to play Division 1 football, that you guys know. Obviously, Lisa. And I met him when he was 14 years old. He was 5'4", 130 pounds. It's like a stick. He's super small. Fast forward 4 years after strength training and really like pushing it and working really hard. He graduates high school at 6'1", 195 pounds, and is just like solid. He's mobile, he's flexible, and he gets a financial aid. They don't call them scholarships for Ivy League, but he gets a financial aid, 100% financial aid to Princeton University, which is great. Ends up kicking for them. They go undefeated his sophomore year. Obviously, COVID and stuff like that kind of slow things down for him, but now he's officially kicking and has 2 years of eligibility for a Division 1 college, which is University of Cal Berkeley. So I think it's more about like how many other kids that have that are like the kid that I'm talking about. His name is Nico, like Nico. And the 18 are like basically the kids that I was coaching, or the kids that I was coaching through strength training, or coaching through football, or coaching through football specific stuff, or a combination of two, to actually actualize this goal. Like, here's the end goal of being able to go to college, which is now a very different front when we talk about the NIL and getting paid for your likeness. It's much more so business oriented, I think. And this is still business, obviously, but now it's almost forming something completely different with what's going on in the NCAA.
Yeah, but it's funny when you talk about, your kind of business, you always think about the typical client. But I mean, what we're talking about, you went through that. So this example of Nico tells you, okay, how early on I can start working with somebody to get you to a specific goal that you have. Maybe
Right.
yours specifically is going to college. There are so many things that I can do in 5, 6 years to make sure you go there, right? There are
Right.
so many things that you can do with a person like me if I want to just stay in the fitness industry and just be with you and work out and kind of like have that lifestyle. But it's funny how you have basically after all your experience, have identified completely different set of people
Yes.
to help them in different areas. And I bet that's interesting for you and also very rewarding when you look back and say, I've helped this kind of person with this goal and then this kind of other kid with other things. How does that make you feel? I think that's very rewarding.
It's super rewarding. I've been to a couple of Princeton games, and just to go to Jersey and watch him, perform his dream and live out his dream from the beginning, the inception, the idea, to actually actualizing it, and peak performance, right? Like, kid looks great. He's constantly working with the same stuff that we've been working with him since he was super young, when he was 14 when I first met him, and then now really like taking it to a bigger stage. It's amazing. So I still get juiced up and jacked up and super excited about someone that might have had a hip replacement, that couldn't squat low enough to play with their grandkids, and like now, like, okay, cool, like we got you past 90, like you're hugging little Tommy, whatever it is. Like, I still get jacked up on all fronts. So whatever the goal is, just know it's like feasible and possible if you put your head down and really trust the process, and obviously listen to what guidance we have to offer.
That is great, and I think, I mean, that is just so rewarding, and you taking that step, and because I mean, you lived it. I mean, you saw in your college years and your coaching years, there was a lot of reward and a lot of accomplishments that you went through. But now you see it on a different level, and you're seeing, as a business owner, and when you look back and for a second, which is hard to do when you're running a business, to kind of sit back for a minute, get a cup of coffee, and kind of look at the big picture, and see what you've done. What are the things that you look back and you're like, wow, this was tough, I'm proud of this, kind of like that. Give me some highlights of running a business since that moment you took that decision and you said, I'm going to do this. Give me some highlights of that journey that you've
um,
gone through.
yeah, I think I'll start off with the inception and leaving a big box gym, because I feel like the initial decision is always the hardest. People are always scared of, oh, what am I going to do for, work, or what am I going to do for an income, or what's my family going to think? Um, my initial, I basically just jumped off a cliff. I was just like, I don't care what happens. I'm a survivor. I've dealt with adversity before. I've dealt with, retiring from a sport that I love early, and then turning, life that handed me lemons into lemonade, or that curveball that life threw at me. I knocked it out of the park the first time. I can definitely do it a second time, kind of situation. So, just trusting yourself, believe what you believe, and I think, as I look at the highlights, the first person that I hired, like, and being able to have them trust me enough to, build their business and go from there, I think of the first location that we rented. Although the lease situation wasn't favorable, it still was amazing to put my, my sign and my Old Bull Athletics out on the front of it. I think the first time, financial goals, right? Like, the first time we got to sign the contract to owning and operating our own property. So, like I said, the highs and the lows are crazy, but the highs are amazing. And obviously you got to find a way to be happy in both. But man, those highs, dude, it's pretty cool. Especially when stuff that you planned on paper becomes an actuality.
Sure. And I can totally imagine you in front of your gym looking at your sign. Tell me, why did you guys choose that name? Why Opal?
I have a bunch of reasons why. I'll tell you one of them. Old in the sense that it means wise, and bull. Like, I don't know any other animal in the animal kingdom that's stronger than a bull. Like, those things are just powerful, man. Like, crazy. So we take the wise approach to strength training. In athletics, obviously, we are anywhere in between, at the athletics standpoint and the sports performance and the sports medicine standpoint of things. We do have two companies underneath the holdings company that owns the property. So we're the athletic side, which is more the personal training and performance training, and then we're the sports medicine and rehab side, which is obviously the physical therapy portion of it. But yeah, so that's really the reason we want to bridge the gap between the two, but we want to take more of a wise approach. In our industry, we have this thing where people want to like basically not be able to walk after their sessions to deem it as a good session.
Right.
Um, and I always
My
laugh.
workout was worth it.
Yeah, like I always laugh and I'm like, dude, like they did nothing for you. They didn't talk about your range of motion deficit that you have between your right and your left arm, or, you know, they didn't properly assess you. You know, yeah, anybody can smoke anybody, like do 100 push-ups in 2 minutes. Like you're probably not going to be able to lift your arms the next day, you know?
Yeah.
That doesn't take a rocket scientist to do, you know, but can they properly assess you? Can they properly take their time at giving you the goals that you need? And it's almost a personification to life, right? Like if I would have started my business and then just decided, oh, I'm just going to try to buy something right now, skip all the steps in between, I would have fell flat on my face. You know what I'm saying? So we take the slow, methodical approach to strength training, and that's why Old Bull.
That is great. I love it. I love it, Frankie. I mean, it's been great. I wanted to ask you for an advice for a new entrepreneur, but I think this whole conversation has been full of advices, and I just wanted to thank you because it's been a great pleasure to have this conversation with you.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing everything you did. Thanks for sharing your story. We're looking forward to visiting your gym. Thank you so much. I think these conversations make it all worthy. But
Definitely.
people learn about other people, learn about other people's mistakes, and learn about, you know, the good things and everything they've done right. I mean, we'll see you guys the next Coffee with Foul.
Sounds good. Have a good one.